as you're creating your leadership plan, it's important to think of leadership as a process and not something you either are or are not, or a set of qualities that you do or don't have. You should also go ahead and assume that you are a leader, because if you don't, you're going to struggle with thinking that you're not qualified to make the suggestions that we're asking you to make in the leadership section. So we believe that you're leaders and that you're capable of enacting change based on your learning, and we believe that your experiences are significant in building you up into being the person capable of leadership. And your leadership plan doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't necessarily have to extend outside of your immediate field, but it should be a plan in which you can say, I think this is the best way and I have the learning to back that up. I tend to worry about my students' well-being through this process, since it can be a little awkward or uncomfortable or even overwhelming, because it can be so different from what you've been asked to do in the past. So my advice is to remember that you're not the only one and you're not alone. What I mean is that you're not the only one who feels like they're struggling or like they're not doing things correctly. And you're not alone in your discomfort or frustration. Anybody who has spent time genuinely grappling with an idea knows that at some point you feel like you're more confused than when you started, and you start thinking that you misunderstood something very important very badly. And that's normal, but if you're patient with the process and you trust your advisors and University 401 instructors to help you through all of that confusion and frustration, and you don't turn away from it, which is really important, you'll get to a place where you feel like you have a better handle on your learning than you did at first. Because ultimately, there are no wrong answers in the ePortfolio. But there are instances of more or less effectively communicated learning, which is often a result of a student's willingness or unwillingness to question their experiences and to be confused and frustrated, while at the same time knowing that they have people around them who are dedicated to supporting them through all of that. So if you feel that way, or like you've missed a step somewhere, speak up, and don't think that you're doing anything wrong. You're not, and you're not alone, and you're not the only one.
The ePortfolio is an opportunity to articulate what you learned as a USC graduate. Let it be the best representation of your learning as defined through the GLD guidelines. I also encourage students to put it to paper, so to speak. The initial drafts of your ePortfolio sections will likely not be perfect. However, the process of writing, editing, gathering feedback, and writing again is inherent to the reflective process of graduation with leadership distinction. Lastly, be positive and know that you can do it.
Keep writing. Students waste a lot of time wondering if what they are writing is right. There is no one right way to write a key insight. We want to provide you the foundations to write effective and coherent and articulate key insight, but there's no one right way to do it, so we just encourage you to keep writing. In the same vein, don't wait until the day before a draft is due to work on it. This process is intentionally designed to have you write often, receive feedback and critique, and then do revisions. And so the more that you continue to write and develop your writing skills, the better your end product will be.
So the ePortfolio is a process. It takes time, and you have to be dedicated to work through this. You must schedule intervals of time where you are going to set time aside each week and take everything out of the equation that might distract you or stop you from doing this. You really have to focus on concentrating on the ePortfolio and identifying what it is that you want to write about so that you can continue to progress through this process. Start slowly on this. First, focus on one key insight and work with your peers and your instructors by talking through what it is that you've learned and what it is that you're trying to say or what you're trying to write in this ePortfolio. Know that getting the feedback is critical to this process, and as you begin to reflect and write, take that critical feedback, try to understand what it is that reviewer has given you, and really focus on what is it that I'm missing, where am I trying to do things that need a little bit more work, and make sure that when you're identifying this, that other people are understanding what it is that you're trying to say and can make that connection just as you've made that connection as well. That feedback also will allow you to really see maybe an issue or what you've learned from multiple perspectives and understand how other people might interpret what it is that you've learned. And take that, use that in the ePortfolio, because that's what makes your ePortfolio so rich and complex, and helps articulate what it is that you're trying to say. And after writing that first draft, understand that it's okay that if it's not perfect, it will more than likely go through another draft or 2 or 3, and that's part of the process, and that's what we're hoping that you go through while you're developing this ePortfolio. And when you get that feedback, ask questions, try to understand what the feedback is, and edit and say what it is that you need to say to, one, address your point, but also to address the feedback and the questions that your reviewer is giving you. And remember that this is all part of the process. As you begin to write, if you need to write the story first before you actually go into the analysis piece, you can do that. Sometimes writing it down and getting all of your thoughts down on paper or on a computer is going to help you remember the story, recollect on the experiences that you've had and how it felt in the moment of doing that. You want to start over? Okay. And sometimes have the story down first is going to help you focus on what it is that you're trying to say and the analysis that will come after. And lastly, the portfolio can be a frustrating process because of the time necessary to think about and write about your key insights, your leadership section, and even just about yourself. And we understand this. We know that this is a process, and we're here to help you with that. So identify what your distractions are and remove them. Put yourself in a space where you can channel all of your energy and all of your focus into writing this ePortfolio, and you're going to be surprised about what you come up with.